Hey guys, we got a story for you. We got a story that might actually make a lot of boxing fans mad, angry. So Logan Paul was recently interviewed and said that WWE and maybe training related to WWE is way harder than boxing Floyd Mayweather. Can you believe that, guys? Yeah. Floyd Money Mayweather. Logan Paul went on to say that boxing is not really up to par with wrestling because WWE wrestling and training is way more harder than having to fight or box Floyd Mayweather. So that's really interesting, guys. Also, going to talk about some potential developments that might be in the works of seeing Conor McGregor taking on Logan Paul in a boxing fight. Now, I want to get into that. This is actually a story that has been circulating for over a year now. It was supposed to happen, didn't happen. There was talks, discussions, never really kind of materialized into anything solid, and then it kind of fizzled out. And as everyone knows, Logan Paul now is a WWE superstar, and he's doing what he does. Conor McGregor has been training. He's on track to rejoining the UFC. He's hoping to fight on the UFC White House Fight Night card. But if you're going to see Conor McGregor even before then, that's a possibility too. Let's get into it, guys. Some really interesting storylines. So is Logan is he just wilding everybody, or is he actually telling the truth? So can't wait to get into it, guys. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz. And here you are, guys. This is the home for all the latest trending stories when it comes to the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. So just real fight talk, no fillers, no fluff, no biasness, guys. Just real unfiltered discussions between you and I. And I'm going to tell you like it is from what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing. And then we can also have a discussion about that. So let's get right into it, guys. So Logan Paul was on First Take recently. And he dropped a bombshell, guys. He dropped a very big statement that kind of shook things up a little bit, because he said straight up, the WWE is harder than boxing Floyd Money Mayweather. And not just harder, but the hardest thing he's ever done. Now, everybody knows that Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather in a boxing fight. And that was there was a lot of ups and downs in that match. And there's controversy, of course, surrounding that fight as well, too. But he had to obviously train for the lead up and getting prepped and ready for that fight. But he's saying it doesn't even compare to what he has to train in the World Wrestling Entertainment. So that deserves a conversation, guys. He trained, he survived. He said, Logan Paul, he went 8 rounds with Floyd Money Mayweather. And it was it was an exhibition fight, but he had to train, he had to prep himself, he had to get his body primed and conditioned like any other fighter would, leading up to their fight. And he said that he trained the best that he could do, his body was able to allow him to, and he did it in a fashion where he didn't get embarrassed, right? And so when that guy says wrestling is harder, a lot of people are going to listen to this and going to be like, hey, I need to really dive into this, and maybe we need to create a conversation about this, because it's definitely up for debate. Right? Now, here, remember, this is a guy who actually did it, right? Yeah, we know Jake Paul has done it plenty of times. He's boxed a lot of fighters, but Logan Paul did it too. So he's not just saying it from the sidelines. And even then, if he never boxed and he was saying it from the sidelines, it might still have some merit, only because he's been around that action, right? As closely as he has, watching his brother and other fighters. And so you kind of have to listen to Logan when he says this. Now, you don't have to agree with him, but you got to hear him out, right? So his main argument was Boxing is difficult, yeah, but WWE is a full 360-degree like skill set. Like you're acting, you're selling, the timing. Timing is really important. You hear a lot of wrestlers talk about the timing. If your timing is off, then you're not able to sell the move, the shot in the ring. Your promos are off. I mean, it could be disastrous. And especially when you're talking about live TV, I agree. That's pretty difficult stuff. There's storytelling involved, right? You got to stay athletic. You got to be able to be conditioned like literally 365 days a year because these guys are on the road for most of the year. So they got, there's all kinds of like safety precautions and measures, things that wrestlers have to adhere to as part of their training regimen and the things they need to do, performing live, as I mentioned, every single night, day in, day out, and, trying to remain in character for most of that time. It's a challenge. Yeah, I mean, like he's not completely wrong. You have to give him credit where credit is due. But like here's kind of where I land on this, right? Boxing is brutal. There's no debate about it. I mean, it's MMA, but instead of kicks, it's just punches. You're on your feet. There's no grappling, there's no wrestling. You're on your feet. You gotta rely on your hands, your foot movement, so there's a lot that goes into it. But once that bell rings, it's just you and your opponent. There's no storyline. I mean, if there was any marketing and fight hype and all that jazz that, other people are going to help try to build up for you leading into that fight, that's all fine and dandy. But when you're in that ring with your opponent, it's just you and them. There's nothing about timing. I mean, timing, of course, yeah, but it's not scripted. There's no storyline. You're going in to win and the other guy's going in to win, and that's why it's brutal. Because it's a fight. Somebody's going to lose. All right. And the thing as a boxer that you're just hoping for is that you walk out of that fight healthy, and you're thinking the same for your opponent as well, because most of these fighters have some kind of mutual respect for their opponent. They don't want to see each other get hurt. It's a business, guys. All right. But then there's also human emotion that's attached to it. So, in WWE, you're fighting, right? Your body is essentially going to tell you how you feel, what's going to happen. If you're sick and you got a live show, you got to work through it, man. I mean, and if your timing is off, that could actually be not only when I say disastrous, yeah, it could be bad for you because you're going to look silly. But if your timing is off, you could potentially run the risk of hurting your opponent. Yeah, in a bad way. The crowd, the cameras, you got live TV, you got millions of people around the world watching this, and multiple nights a week. One slip up, you're injured, you could be done, or worse, you're exposed. Now social media is cruel. People will expose everything on social media. And the last thing you want to do is to put yourself in a situation where, yeah, you're injured and that's it. Maybe you to the point where you can never even come back again. And good luck trying to get insurance, because there's no insurance that's going to cover a fighter. So those, while you're gainfully employed, those medical bills can add up, but they're being covered by the company. But once you're out, it's all on you. And if you got pre-existing conditions and injuries that you've sustained over your wrestling career, you're carrying that with you for the rest of your life, even if you're not employed by the company, and that you're going to have to figure it out yourself. And that also goes for boxers as well, right? So, I mean, look, there's a lot of people on the fence who, for example, there's people like me who I love wrestling. I love watching it. I think it's fun. It's entertaining. And you know what? I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, it's scripted, it's fake, and why are you watching it? Well, why are you watching movies? Movies are scripted. It's fake. It's not real. Sorry to burst your bubble there, but breaking news, movies aren't real. They're fictional. Actors are scripting, they're rehearsing, producers are producing, directors are directing. It's the same as WWE. The difference is these wrestlers are performing their own stunts. And if something goes wrong, that's it. It could be game over. So I respect that in wrestling, and that's why I love watching wrestling. It's fun, it's entertaining. It's definitely sports entertainment. But there's a lot of people who won't watch it because they say it's scripted. Well, I don't know. I just got into that. So anyways, I mean, like, just because it's scripted doesn't make things any easier. I mean, it still means that you have to execute, and you got to execute at an optimal level. And if you don't execute at a high level perfectly, then things go awry. And then you have Logan. So whether you like Logan or not, guys, honestly, this dude actually puts the work in. He looks like a wrestler. He's fit. He's conditioned. He's constantly doing what he has to do, and also trying to be in character to be able to play the part. Right? So Floyd Mayweather, he kind of responded, and he said, like, now remember, like, Floyd is the kind of guy, he just doesn't sit idle, right? He likes to clap back a little bit, right? And he said that, look, if this fight was real, it would have been a first round blowout. It's probably true, but here's the thing. That doesn't invalidate Logan's point at all. I mean, I think what Logan's trying to get to is that he's trying to talk from experience when he trained for Floyd Mayweather's fight, and then the training he has to put in for WWE and wrestling, and he says that obviously is a lot harder. And maybe it is. Maybe it is, guys. And look, I mean, that at the end of the day, like, two things can't be true at once. They can't, right? Floyd at one time may have been able to destroy Logan in, say, the first round. I mean, if they were to fight again, and, like, if they were to both really fight, guys, for the second time, I don't know. I don't know what would happen. I don't know what Floyd's up to lately and stuff like that. I know he wants to fight. He wants to fight somebody. I don't know if he's going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao again, or if it's going to be Mike Tyson. I mean, it's hard to say. And I don't know where Logan's boxing skills are. I don't know if he's been training with his brother, or training in the gym, or if he's just focusing more on wrestling. I mean, if it's going to be straight up boxing, then Floyd wins that fight. And he probably wins it pretty quickly. But if Logan has been training and hasn't stopped training, then it could be a good fight. Right? So anyhow, like, and I'll speak about Logan and a potential fight coming down the pipe, but then Conor McGregor, everybody knows the notorious one. Conor McGregor has been actively training because he wants to come back and he wants to fight on the UFC fight night card. And so, like, he's been pretty, like, he kind of squashed that idea of wanting to become Ireland's next president. He's really focusing more on his family, focusing more on his health and his in octagon ring return. And so that would be interesting. And when I say octagon ring, because yes, he wants to come back into the octagon, but he's also hinting at the possibility of coming back to fight Logan Paul or somebody in a boxing match. All right. And so when you have Conor McGregor kind of spiraling into the mix, I mean, look, he basically said that those YouTubers, referring to the Paul brothers, they'll always be there. All right. He called them nixers, side hustles. And he said that he's chasing real legacy first. But what stood out to me about all this is that Conor didn't just really shut the door on Logan Paul. He just said, not yet. Not yet. That tells me one thing, that these crossover fights are not dead. They're just being delayed. And there were rumors, there were talks about Conor McGregor potentially either taking on Logan Paul, but maybe even KSI, maybe even Jake Paul. I think a lot of people are saying that Conor McGregor, if he really wants to fight, he should fight Jake Paul. All right? And now, that would be an interesting fight because Jake Paul has a challenge, has had a tough time fighting heavyweights. Right? But what if he fights somebody in, around Floyd's size, I mean, there'll still be like a weight difference, but that would be really interesting, wouldn't it, guys? Would you want to see that fight? Or would you want to see Logan Paul take on Floyd Mayweather? Conor McGregor. I don't see Conor McGregor taking on Logan Paul. I don't. For Logan to even entertain that, and Conor has already established himself as a pretty good fighter, because guess what? Conor McGregor took on Floyd Mayweather in a boxing fight, and it was fantastic. These guys already did it. So if Logan wants to fight Conor McGregor, he's going to have to sharpen up his boxing skills, because Conor McGregor can box, and he can box well. So Jake Paul's already a fighter. He's already a boxer. That's what he does. He's been training as a boxer. So that would probably make more sense. And I could probably see that as $100 million, maybe even $200 million payday. I don't know if Logan still brings that same kind of marketability as his brother Jake does, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. So, like, the question comes down to is Logan, like, it seems like Logan's pretty serious about this WWE stuff, and he's been in it, and he's been there for quite some time. Is he going to be in the WWE for long term, so he could potentially win a world title and becomes a legit mainstream wrestling star? That's a possibility, and if that happens, good on him, because that's the avenue that he wants to choose, and we got to respect him for it, because, you know, winning that world title, I mean, that would be, he would go down in history, you know, as one of the heavyweight champions of the world. But if Conor McGregor gets that third belt run and then cashes out with the massive celebrity fight, say in his 40s, maybe even 50s, then all of a sudden that sweet deal that Conor talked about, that sweet deal, I mean, it gets even bigger, guys. It gets even bigger. Right? So, I mean, look, Logan might actually be playing the long game better than anyone. And he's been consistent. And hey, you got to hand it to Jake as well. He's been consistent. He's been staying the boxing route. Logan's been staying the wrestling route. You know, I think it's been working for them. So, I mean, this isn't just Logan talking trash. I mean, this is about how combat sports are kind of moving forward and progressing and evolving. I mean, WWE, boxing, UFC, influencer fights now. I don't know if you want to call it hybrid boxing, but it's a thing. They're all colliding, guys. They're all colliding. You know, like I believe like, I mean, it's happening, guys. Whether fans like it or not, I mean, Logan Paul is right square in the middle of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Logan Paul is saying that WWE is harder than boxing, Floyd, money, Mayweather. I mean, it sounds crazy, guys, but when you kind of dive into it, kind of makes a little bit sense, you know? It really does. Because, you know, after you've trained for your fight, like, look, Anthony Joshua, he came out of his, you know, he kind of walked away from the sport for a little bit, you know, after his fight against Daniel Dubois, took some time off, and he had six weeks, literally less than 6 weeks to train against Jake Paul. Less than 6 weeks, because a lot of that time, I mean, he's flying all over the world doing pressers and events and all kinds of little mixers that are happening all over the world. I mean, how much time did he really have to train? So, after that, then you take some time off. But with wrestling, there is no time off. There isn't. You look at the lives of these guys, and they're on the road 24/7. It's a full-time commitment, guys. It's a full-time gig, and it's a huge sacrifice to have your name listed as a WWE superstar. So, look, I get it. I may not fully agree, but I get it, and I understand the argument. And I mean, I'm kind of like split in the middle, because I kind of agree with Logan at the same time. So, you know, may not fully agree, but I definitely agree with him. And I look, at the end of the day, who am I? Logan's the one who's doing it, guys. He's the wrestler. He boxed. He boxed Floyd Money Mayweather. He did it. If anyone has a right to say anything, he has the right to say it. How many of us, like armchair quarterbacks, can say, oh, well, he's this, he's that? How many of us have actually done it at that level? Not many. So I want to hear from you guys. Is Logan right? Is he wrong? You know, or is this just another wild Logan kind of take? Well, what do you think about Floyd? Is Floyd right? If this was a real fight, he'd knock, like, you know, he'd beat him up within the first round. I mean, I want to hear from you guys. Please drop your thoughts and comments. Please, if you guys are new here, or if you're not, make sure you smash the like. But if you're new, make sure you smash the subscribe and join us here on Duality 7X for more fight talk. We cover daily breakdowns, real opinions, and I want to hear from you guys because I can't wait to dive into the comments. And in the meantime and in between time, enjoy, guys. Enjoy. It's a really nice weekend. We got Holly Holm, former UFC legend. Holly Holm's going to be fighting today. So anyways, we might talk about that. But right now I'm running out of time. I got to go, so I'll catch you guys on the next one.